Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Shooting Show. On this week's episode we have got some stalking in Scotland, a little bit of rabbit shooting for the Airgun Show and some foxing as well. But first we join Chris Dalton as he heads out on home turf in unfavourable weather conditions, hopefully trying to find some rutting roebucks.
So it's obviously early. We should be getting some rutting activity by now, but the weather has been particularly unseasonable with this time of year. I mean, I should be in light fleece, sweating, but it feels decidedly autumnal. The weather's been pretty crappy. It's been cool, it's been wet, really quite strong winds. It's calmer today, slightly warmer, but still not, just doesn't feel right. Look, there's a couple of roe down in some cut rifles down here, down in the bottom, that look suspiciously like they're hanging around and up to no good. A bit of amorous activity perhaps going on. So I've got the call. We're going to go down and have a look and just see what's what. I'm not a great one for calling until I see activity, but having seen a little bit of indication of that over the last few days, I'm going to come and have a look down here and just see. We'll see what's what. See if we can get anything to respond, or see if it even feels like it's worth calling. I'll have a look. basically is making us look like mugs. They're definitely rutting. There's a doe and a buck crossing the barley field here. Starting to be interested in the call, but he's pressing her quite hard. The wind's wrong for us. So I'm going to try and work around in a bit of a loop and come above him and just see if we can't call him in. It's difficult to call a buck away from a doe sometimes, but I don't know, he just got that kind of attitude. I think he'll probably come. She's not wanting anything of it, so she's trying to get away from him all the time, so they're constantly chasing. It's difficult, almost impossible to pull a buck off a doe when they're at that state. He's chased her into the bracken now, so we're going to go round and try and catch him. Trouble is they're moving, they're covering a lot of ground, so quite exciting. But we're now switching to iPhone mode. We're playing around with a new camera, which is a super bit of kit, but it eats power. We've got a young buck just coming to the call after a big buck's chased 3 deer around, and he's hanging around. He's starting to respond to the call, so I could call him, but we ain't got no power on the battery, so we've decided that we'll go and have some breakfast and we'll try again another day. But that's a fantastic morning. That's a really, really fantastic morning. It's a pity you can't see this because there's a young buck with a little sort of single antler who's very, very wary, and he knows there's a big lad in there, and he's just started to come to the call. But I'm not going to keep calling because it's pointless. We'll come and do that on another day, but we're going to go and have a cup of coffee and breakfast. But that's fantastic. Not shot any deer, but I'm not bothered about shooting any deer, to be honest. It's just great to be out here and seeing the experience. We've had bucks coming to the call. Not shot one for numerous reasons. A, one was too good, and B, my cameraman couldn't get on it. But that's just great. That's just what stalking is all about. To be honest, I'm kind of glad we've not shot one. It's just nice to experience it. And I'm not calling a lot. I don't want to overdo it. We'll just let them settle and leave them be. Go and have a coffee. Yeah, it's going to a kid, isn't it, that? just wonder if that was the one that was with the buck. You still see it? Yeah, you can only just see it from it. Yeah, I can see it, yes. Get here! Get here! What you doing? Bloody hell. Don't you do that.
What was that saying? If he's couched up, we're not seeing him.
Well, we knew he was couched up, that's... Always, when they jump up, they usually stop, give you a shot, give you a chance of a shot if you're on the money. Interesting actually this morning. There's been some red stags in the barley field just at the back of us regularly, but sod's law. We came out this morning early to try and shoot one of those because the farmer's not very charmed about 2 or 3 20-stone stags eating his barley all night. But it was just a hind. It's the first time I've seen a hind in there. No stag to be seen, so we've just continued along the edge of the crop, and there's a couple of young roe out, a couple of does, but we did see a buck which crossed into the pasture field here, and we kind of got set up for the shot, but he was in this thick stuff and kept meandering away, kind of, we lost him. So we've got a good wind. We came up using the valley for cover, and you knew he was in here somewhere, and just had a conversation about he's probably couched down. And the dog's pointing off to the left. They're just sort of making to have a good look in there, and up he jumped and bounded off as roe will do, but they'll usually stop a couple of times because they're curious. So he stopped the first time briefly and then ran another 40-50 yards, and then just as they will, they'll turn and have a look at you, and that was probably not a good idea. So he's just about 120, 130 yards somewhere in here. This is where a dog comes in handy, because believe you me, trying to find a deer in this is tricky. So I'll just let everything settle down and then go and recover it.
Up next, we're heading to Warwickshire, where we're joined by Stu Eborall as he heads out after a problem fox. It's been causing some trouble around a pheasant pen. So let's see how he gets on in this next video.
Good evening, I'm Stuart from Warwickshire Wild Game. This evening we are looking over one of my pheasant pens. I've got 2 spy point cameras at either end of the wood, and yesterday, just about an hour after dark, I had one of the cameras go off and it caught a fox about 30 yards from the pen on one of the rights. This morning when I came down here at first light, armed and ready, expecting to see a fox, never saw one, but at certain points I could really smell one. So Ollie's joined me. Ollie Lees joins me tonight, and we're going to have a sit out and wait over one of the pens here and see if the fox shows itself. I've got my trusty 308 with me, the Sour 202, still using the Pulsar XQ50 and the Helion Pro XP52. Usual kit really, still on the Hornady SSTs 150 grain super performance. I said a couple of videos ago that I've swapped over and stopped using 22-250 for foxing. I'm using this one rifle for everything. Quick release mounts on, day scope off, thermal on, ready to go. I've used it, it's been about 6 weeks since I made the change. Swapping them constantly every day basically, and they've never let me down. Haven't lost zero. I've had no issues whatsoever. So I'm really chuffed with the move, and just gives me a lot of confidence. Right, time to be a bit quiet and a bit cute and see if we can catch up with this fox. Down in front of us, the left of the pen, there's a grass field which they're going to make hay out of, which they've not got around to, so it's still really long. But I'm just catching a head coming through the grass. So this could be a muntjac. Or it could be our fox. The issue is here, I'm going to lose it behind the ledge before I can see what it is. And it'll be at the pen gate. Yeah, I've just lost it behind the hedge. Because we're having wet weather at the minute, they haven't been able to get on and mow this field, and also they haven't been able to crack on with harvest and get the crop off that's surrounding the pen. I've just got this one field to my right that's been combined, which was rape, but everything else is still standing, which is causing me a bit of a nightmare. Hey! Oh, you're joking. Yeah, got it. Oh, that makes me happy. That thing, just saw it in the scope then. It was limping fairly bad. You'll see, I recorded it, so you'll see it in the footage. So I've done it some justice there, I think, but I don't know, I can never tell that was the one that I've caught on my camera, but it's literally, I don't know if you can see, Ollie, but the wood, it's not a very big wood, and the pen takes up the majority of the wood, and it is on the edge of the wood, so, you know, they couldn't get any closer really. I reckon it is the thing we saw come question it, but it's literally just gone through the hedge in front of us. It's like 140, 150 yards in front of us, so absolute textbook. And the thing that I'm most pleased about is that I get up an early night. I was fully expecting to be up here until silly o'clock in the morning. This time of year, when you're gamekeeping, you're running on very little sleep. Up at it's like 4 AM alarm pretty much all the time to get around and check everything at first light, and then every night you go and check round at last light, and you always have an hour or 3/4 of an hour sat overlooking a spot where you think you've got a fox problem. Very rarely does it just an hour. It normally leads on a bit later, so your midnight bedtime, and then when your alarm's going off in 4 hours time, it does take its toll on you. So I'm really pleased that we managed to get this dealt with early. It is 10 to 10. We have been here 15 minutes. Ollie just got off the truck for a wee. I have to clamber back up here to get filming. I wasn't waiting for him to get on it. It needed to be shot. But yeah, these thermals, yeah, they've been about a while now, but they are just for this job. They are just awesome. Right, that thing has come through. We've got good wind. We've made sure we've got good wind. Give it a little shout. Stops. Doesn't have got a clue. Not a clue where it's not even completely dark yet. No clue we're here. Dead. Yeah, that is a good job done. And this is the point where I have one last scan and see another one. Big old mature dog fox. Shot just in behind the shoulder. Happy days. Literally the pen is another 20 yards that way. So we'll not make too much noise down here, and we'll get it back out of here and get away before we disturb any of the birds. Right, I think that is a wrap for tonight. We've stuck it out for another sort of 3/4 of an hour just to make sure there's not anything else kicking about, and apart from a few deer and a couple of hares, we're kind of all clear. So we're gonna get a kind of early night. Back at it tomorrow morning. Thanks very much for watching.
Some great stuff there, and now we are joined by Mark Ripley, and we're staying on the foxes as he hopes to nab himself 1 or 2 and deal with them pesky rabbits with his trusty Daystate air rifle.
Right, so this evening I've come out with a Daystate Delta Wolf 177 sub 12 foot-pound air rifle. I'm coming out after a few rabbits. I'm going to a sheep and dairy farm. Not the usual one I go to, this one's a little bit further from home. I'm trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, to be honest, or 2 animals if you like, because on this farm there's also a small friends and family kind of pheasant shoot. Now he's just got his pheasant poults in today, so along with any rabbits I can find and rats with the air rifle, I've also brought with me a centrefire rifle just in case we bump into a fox. So I know it's not the normal kind of thing on the Airgun Show, and I will be keeping it very much to the airgun side of things, but if you're wondering why I'm carrying 2 rifles around, that's what the situation is. So anyway, I hope it's going to be an interesting video, and I hope we bump into something this evening and get a few rabbits or some rats along the way. I hope you enjoy it. Right, so I've got myself a nice little spot here which overlooks a hedgerow just in front of me, which you get a few rabbits come wandering out of there now and again, and naturally as well that also attracts the fox to wander along this this little sort of hedgerow here. So yeah, I've got the centrefire set up there just in case we do bump into a fox, and I've also got the Daystate Delta Wolf sat next to me as well, which is a perfect little tool for rabbiting. The hedgerow is probably about 50 metres away, so it's a little bit of a stretch from here, but I'm hoping that that I'll probably get the best of my chance, I think, just after dark, because there's quite open ground, and there's quite a lot of rabbits just dotted around on this bank, so I can have a little wander around and hopefully pick 1 or 2 of them off. So to spot with, I'm testing out the InfiRay Gemini thermal binoculars. Yeah, again, these aren't a cheap piece of kit, but they are very nice, so I'm going to be putting those through their paces, and hopefully if I can remember which button the record button is, then hopefully I can get a bit of footage as well through them so you can see what they're like. Other than that, as I say, the rifle's a Delta Wolf, and I've got sat on it the Pulsar C50 day-night scope. I've used that on several videos in the past, and it's a nice little scope, and it's nice and easy to record on, so it's ideal for this kind of thing. Right, well, I'm not going to waffle on anymore. I'm going to sit quietly and see what comes along. So as you can see, it's pretty much dark now, and I've moved around the bank a little bit because I noticed there was a few more rabbits were coming out along this bit of wood here, but unfortunately they're a bit too far for, well, they're definitely too far for any shots with the air rifle. Might be right with a rimfire or something, but for the air rifle they're out at the moment about 120 metres or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay put here until it gets properly dark, and then I can hopefully get in a bit closer under the cover of darkness and get a shot at 1 or 2 of those. There's a couple of badgers just coming out of the wood there. A few more rabbits up on the bank there. Hey! Well, I know we're doing a strictly airgun video here, but for any of you guys that are interested that also shoot centrefire or rimfire, I was just sat here just waiting for that sky just to darken a little bit more so I didn't get silhouetted walking down the bank towards these few bunnies at the bottom here, and a fox come along the edge of the cover just to my right, making its way to the wood in front of me, which is where the pheasant pen is and all the new poults that have just gone in there this afternoon. So that fox was about 170 metres, and I just shot that using a 223 centrefire and a thermal scope. And because the rifle's moderated as well, and out in the open like this, it's not as loud as what you might think it would be, and the rabbits that are out in front of me here, they just didn't take any notice. They just kind of, a few of the closer ones just sort of put their heads up and looked around, but by and large the majority of them are all still out happily feeding. So in a minute I'm going to head down and see if I can start getting into them a little bit. Well, I feel like I'm about to ward off a zombie apocalypse or something out of an episode of Die Hard or something with 2 rifles. But I'm just going to walk along this hedgerow here. I've come down off the bank because the wind's dropped right away to next to nothing now, and what little wind there is, just a little breeze, is just coming along the hedgerow directly towards me. So I'll come down the bottom here. I'm just going to walk into the wind and see if I can knock over 2 or 3 rabbits. So I've got this rifle zeroed at 30 metres with a 177 sub 12 foot-pound. So the crosshairs is my 30 metre zero. Then with that and the pellets that I'm using, then the first mil dot is my 50 metre zero, second one is 60 metres, and the third one is 70 metres, almost precisely that. So yeah, it's actually works really nicely with the Pulsar C50 there. So that rabbit, that was at 60 metres, so I just held over on the second mil dot, and that went down lovely. It was a good clean headshot and didn't know anything about that. So let's go and pick that one up. Well, it's a nice healthy looking rabbit. Well, it's not healthy, it's dead, but it was healthy. And that's gone over to a really nicely placed headshot there. That just goes to show just how accurate that little rifle is. Even at 60 metres, that's just put that pellet right on the money. So yeah, you can't grumble at that. Right, let's see if we can find a couple more. Alright, so I'll hang this one on the fence. I've got enough stuff to carry as it is. So it's definitely worth hanging the rabbits on the fence like that. A, because I haven't got to carry them, but B, there's quite a few badgers along this bottom of this wood. I've seen 4 or 5 when I was sat up on the bank there, youngsters. So I'm pretty sure that if any of those came along and I just left them down by the fence or just where they fell, then I'm pretty sure that they would snuffle them up pretty quick. So that again was basically a repeat performance of the first one. Another 60 metre one, again just on that second mill dot, over it went. So I need to be a little bit careful here because there's one or two hares around on this ground as well, and the farmer wants to keep the hares on here. He likes to see a few hares about, so I need to be very careful not to shoot any big bunnies. I thought that one looked a bit big. That was a hare. You can tell a hare if you're not sure and you just watch it for a minute. When it moves, rather than like a rabbit sort of hops along, these lumber along. So yeah, they're quite distinctive. So it seems that when I get to within sort of anything less than 90 to 100 metres, the rabbit seems to be quite kind of switched on, and I think they're just hearing any little noise because the wind's dropped so much. They're just picking up on any sort of like rustle of clothing or me just walking through the longer bits of grass. Anything metallic, which doesn't really help when you're carrying two rifles. So I've spooked quite a few which have run in, but we'll persevere. Right, so I've got two rabbits that are out, and they're both about 70 metres away together, and I don't think I'm going to get much closer because they're looking a bit jumpy already, so I'm going to take a shot from here. Pleased with those two shots. Both those rabbits were about 70 metres, and well, as you can see, this little rifle is just such a tack driver that it's just putting those pellets exactly where I want them. And just turn those rabbits off, just switch them off a treat, put that pellet just behind the eye and the ear, just in here, and yeah, that's their lot. I don't know anything about it. So I think I'm going to leave it on those last couple of rabbits. That's 4 rabbits down, but we're getting a little bit of mist. It's just starting to sit just above the grass in this bowl here, and I'm starting to just get a little bit of the IR bouncing back in some places. It sort of drifts in then clears again. With the thermal I can see it. I can see them, no problem with these, but yeah, it's just caused me a little bit of bother with the night vision, which is, it's not the scope, it's just one of those things. It's the same with any night vision device. The infrared light bounces back off of the moisture in the air. But anyway, 4 rabbits down, so I'm pleased with that. Just going to whiz out, grab them last couple of rabbits, pick the ones up on the fence, and I think that's me done for the evening. So hope you've enjoyed the episode, and thanks for watching.
Sadly, that's all we've got time for on this week's episode of The Shooting Show. Make sure you like and subscribe for some more videos, and if you're not a member of BASC, now's the time to join. My name's Chris Castle, and this has been The Shooting Show.